Hello. Welcome to Nursing Uncharted for the very first time. My name is Maggie and I am so pumped to be the host of this podcast. Nursing Uncharted is a space for nurses from all backgrounds to share our stories, to seek perspective, and to inspire you to find a niche in nursing that serves you best. This podcast will strive to be your guide to both navigating the boundless possibilities of nursing and while also nourishing this neglected need to heal from this amazing yet all-consuming profession. And each week I'm going to have a nurse from a different avenue of nursing, and we'll talk about what that job entails and delve into the stories of their specialty. As a nurse and as a listener, I'd like you to help me create a space that welcomes the uncharted. And I mean that in a couple different ways. In the first way, Nursing Uncharted, we'll be talking about nursing that goes uncharted. We'll be talking about those little day-to-day things that go under-acknowledged that might prove to be universal in a space by talking to different people. In another sense, this podcast could help guide you to uncharted territory in your own nursing profession, to a job that might serve you better, because we're going to be introducing you to all different types of nursing jobs. This hope to cross uncharted territory in nursing not only applies to you yourself as an individual nurse in your nursing career, but we also hope to help the nursing profession on a larger scale by having real and raw conversations that normally don't happen at work, and hopefully will be a catalyst for change however we need to change. So this episode, it's about introducing you to the podcast and what we're trying to do here, but it's also about introducing you to me and my story. So my nursing story, I didn't grow up wanting to be a nurse. I'm pretty much the only one in my family who's been in the medical field. So I didn't have family to come home to like tell me crazy stories about nursing and, push me to be a nurse. It was actually a very practical decision for me to go into nursing. I had a friend whose mom was a nurse, and she said, well, if you go into nursing, you'll have a job after college. You'll always have a job, and you can do anything with nursing. You can be a nurse anywhere. And for some reason, the first thing I thought of as a 16-year-old was being a nurse on a cruise ship. That was like that was the coolest thing I could think of. That was like the height of luxury as far as being nursing professions would go in my mind. You just lay out on the pool and be a nurse. And I had no idea what that actual badge would entail. And looking back on that dream, that was probably what sparked me to want to be a travel nurse. So I chose nursing as a major, and I really liked the prereqs. I loved anatomy and physiology. I thought physiology was so cool. I mean, it was hard. It sucked. We all know it sucked. but I loved learning about patho. And I loved microbiology too. That one time we had a class where I'm sure you guys know, does anybody remember that class where we made yogurt out of lactobacillus bacteria? I thought it was so cool. Tasted so bad, so awful, which is probably a testament to how much sugar is in yogurt, but it was so much fun. And then I remember we had another class where it was in lab, and we had to swab our faces on, and we put it on an auger, and we waited for 3 days and watched this weird bacteria grow, and we identified it, whether it was Staph aureus or Staph epidermidis. And I remember there was this one girl that wore a lot of makeup, and she had grown this huge orange gross fungus on her auger. Oh, nursing school. We will talk about nursing school in another episode. I digress. But anyway, I got into nursing school, and I started my career in 2014 on the unit that I did one of my clinicals on and it was a neurosurgery unit, which like went right to the top of my head. I thought it was so cool. But I started doing a lot of brain and spinal cord nursing. So we were monitoring patients with surgical resections, brain tumors, spinal decompressions, fusions. And we also had a lot of head and neck surgery patients. So we had free flaps, we had throat and tongue cancers, trachs. They liked those two disciplines to be on the same unit because they would work together for some of their surgeries. So that's where I started. And I wanted to be the best. I mean, I went into that job wanting to be the best. And I was so invested in that job. But that takes a toll. I mean, I put all of myself into that job because I wanted the absolute best care for my patients. But my idea of good care was giving all of myself to my patients and leaving nothing for me. And I also didn't have good communication skills going into that profession. So conflict would arise on the unit, and whether it be from another nurse or PCA or physician, patient, I wouldn't know how to process it. So I just wouldn't. And I would bottle it up, push it down. And that led to a routine of having conversations in my head over and over and over and over, wondering what I should have said, what I'll say next time. You know, I was so anxious. I would cry before work. And I knew the patient population. I knew that everything would be okay. I knew I was a good nurse, but I couldn't sleep. I was taking melatonin and Benadryl and NyQuil because if I didn't, I would just count down the minutes until I had to wake up again and go to work. And I would come home and drink because I just needed to relax and unwind. I didn't see any other, I felt like I was stuck. I was stuck in the wrong relationship. I was stuck in a job that wasn't serving me. And I realized at a nursing convention that I had a dream of being a travel nurse back when I was 16, being a cruise ship nurse that I had suppressed, and I needed to pursue it. And after that convention, I started making steps towards changing my life. Started looking up travel nursing jobs, started looking up AMN. I met a recruiter named Jackie who was awesome, and she set me up, and we found my first job. And I started dating somebody who was on board with doing long distance so I could follow this dream. And I started traveling in January 2017. But leaving that first job that was not serving me at the time, that was the hardest decision that I had to make at that point, because I felt like I was betraying these incredible people, these incredible nurses that had shaped me into the amazing nurse that I was. It was so hard, but absolutely necessary for my growth. And travel nursing proved to be my lifeboat. It was the best thing I could have done to see other types of nursing, to understand that hospitals work differently than how I was taught, and that's okay. And I gained a more realistic, more universal picture of what nursing looks like. I met nurses who had a healthy work-life balance. I saw nurses who were great nurses, but also took care of themselves. I started to evolve into a more experienced, more autonomous, more balanced nurse who was happy. And so over the last 4 years, I did 13 travel assignments. I worked in inpatient, outpatient, rehab, community hospitals, specialty hospitals, magnet, a summer camp. I expedited my experience as a nurse by doing travel nursing and saw so many different types of nursing until now. My husband, that amazing man that let me live out my dream, is now my husband. And we were ready to hang up the nomad life. And I'm actually back at that first hospital that I was at because I came back with fresh eyes and a new perspective. And I really appreciated the amazing quality of care that this hospital has. And it gave me, coming back, really gave me a full circle closure for that unit and helped me understand that it wasn't all a toxic work environment. I mean, a lot of it was my inability to create a healthy lifestyle and my inability to communicate my needs to people. So that's my nursing story so far. I hung up my travel nursing hat for now so that my husband and I can settle down. And I'm transitioning out of acute care and into the medical ICU here. I think staying in one spot after moving every 3 months for the last 4 years seemed terrifying. And I still have that fear of feeling stuck sometimes. But I have more in my toolbox now. And I've nourished an ability to identify a poor work-life balance and a poor headspace. And I'm better communicating my needs. So join me on this project, on this journey, and see if there's a job that you're interested in. Learn about it, laugh about the relatable stories. Maybe that job would benefit you more. Maybe it would steer you away. Maybe you'll learn a little bit about coping with problems on your own unit. Nursing is so uniquely fulfilling and soul-sucking. But I would bet that if you're listening to this podcast, you've felt like it's your calling once or twice. We know that when we tell our friends about the days and they say, oh, I could never be a nurse, they're right. There's something there. There's a calling. There's a tie that pulls all of us into this profession and makes us stay, and not even a pandemic can take it away, or else we would all be gone. You're a great nurse. My husband drops me off at work during the weeks in the morning, and he tells me that every day. He says, kick some ass. You're going to do great because you're a great nurse. So I'm telling you the same thing. You are a great nurse. And I hope this podcast is fun, makes you laugh, and is relatable to you. I met some amazing people in my nursing career, and I cannot wait to introduce them to you. Because I think that the more perspectives we understand, the more experiences we hear, the more examples we hear of how other people cope with stresses from work, the better that we can heal. And if you're listening to this and you're burned out, if you're looking for another job, if you were mentally and emotionally burned from last year, I hear you. I see you. And this podcast is in honor of you. I'll introduce you to so many different ways that you can use this license. And I hope it helps steer you to whatever suits you best and helps you remember why you are a great nurse. So that's our introduction. I cannot wait to be this host for this podcast, this amazing podcast that we're about to start. So please subscribe, follow us on YouTube and Instagram. We're going to be doing highlights of the videos on YouTube, and we'll be starting a Apple Podcast and on Spotify. And if you're interested in traveling, or you are just even thinking about it, go on AmericanMobile.com and just get a little more information. It was an amazing experience for me. It really helped me heal. And I hope that we can help do that for you too. That brings us to the end of the show. Thanks for tuning in to Nursing Uncharted. To learn more about today's episode, make sure to explore the show notes at americanmobile.com/nursinguncharted. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a guest. If you're a nurse interested in traveling, visit americanmobile.com to explore the largest database of travel nursing jobs in the industry and the amazing benefits that American Mobile has to offer. Also, a special thanks to producer Jonathan Cary, assistant producers Katie Schrauben and Sam MacKay, and Aidan Dykes for the music and editing. Until next time, take care of yourself.